Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into one local government meeting in Newtown Township. And what we found is really a tale of two different speeds. On one hand, you have stalled progress. And on the other, well, you've got multi-million-dollar decisions getting made in minutes. Let's break it all down.
So the meeting kicks off with public comment, and resident John Mack gets right to it. He stepped up to the microphone with a really pointed concern that honestly set a powerful tone for the whole evening. It really highlighted this clash between, let's say, principle and procedure.
Okay, so let's dive into this first key moment. It all centers on the Township's Environmental Advisory Council. They call it the EAC, and a case of some really unfortunate timing.
So here's the problem in a nutshell. The very council that's supposed to advise on environmental protection is basically shut down. They just don't have enough members to even hold a meeting. And as John Mack pointed out, he and at least one other person applied weeks ago, but the board still hasn't made any appointments. And the real kicker, this is all going down during Earth Month. You can't make this stuff up.
Now, I want you to contrast that delay with how fast the board moved on financial stuff. So while the Environmental Council is stuck waiting for members, the wheels of government finance, they were spinning at top speed, showing a completely different side of things.
The board moved right along to what's called a consent agenda. This is pretty common in these meetings. It's where they bundle all the routine, non-controversial stuff into a single motion for a quick vote. But in this one single vote, some pretty significant numbers were flying around.
First step, the board gives the okay to a payment list of over $1.2 million. Now, that sounds like a ton of money for a town's bills, right? But the board chair did clarify that the huge bulk of it, $1 million in fact, was just the township moving its own money from one bank account to another.
Also packed into that same single vote, they authorized $339,000 for new police vehicles and all the gear to outfit them. They did this using something called CoStars, which is a state purchasing program that helps towns get better prices. And they approved just over $27,000 for a new mower for the Public Works Department. So let's tally that up. In just a couple of moments, nearly $1.6 million in spending and transfers got the green light. Just like that.
Okay, so after all the money talk, the meeting shifted over to legal matters with the Township Solicitor's report. And this covered a surprisingly wide range of topics that the board had to act on.
Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer variety. First, the board gave the go-ahead to advertise a public hearing for a new wireless ordinance, something the solicitor pointed out has been in the works for years. Then, in the next breath, they formally adopt a resolution to ceremonially rename a street. And finally, they grant a one-year extension on zoning relief for a local property. 3 totally different issues, all handled, boom, one after the other. This brings us to public safety, because while the board is handling all this procedure and planning, the police department is out there dealing with an immediate and often intense reality. The police chief's report for the month of March really painted a vivid picture of what that looks like.
The chief kicked things off with this number: 2,618 calls for service. Just think about that. That's an average of about 84 calls every single day for the entire month of March.
And this table here gives you a sense of what those calls involve. The department made 19 arrests in total, for everything from DUIs and drug violations to more serious crimes like simple assault and even a couple of arson cases.
But then, when you dig into what the detective division was up to, you find this. Wow! The local police department actually assisted the FBI SWAT team in serving a warrant at a home in the township, and it was all connected to a terrorist incident in New York City. It's just a stark reminder that local policing can intersect with national security at any moment. The detectives also had their hands full with 4 major fraud cases, and one of them was just devastating. It involved a resident who was scammed out of $250,000 in a fake investment scheme. And if that wasn't enough, the report also detailed another high-stakes investigation into what they call a terroristic threat, which was classified as a bomb scare. It just highlights the incredibly serious nature of the threats this department has to be ready to handle.
So after that really intense report from the chief, a supervisor changed gears and brought up a much more common resident complaint: that loud rumbling noise from engine brakes on big trucks. You know, Jake brakes. He basically asked, can we even enforce our ordinance against them anymore?
And the chief's answer was pretty fascinating. He explained that basically technology has made the old ordinance obsolete. These engine braking systems, they're now a standard automatically installed safety feature on most modern trucks. There's no on-off switch. And they help these massive rigs stop way faster. So it's really become a safety issue, which makes enforcement almost impossible.
But it wasn't all just serious business and police reports. The meeting also had these moments that really showcased a strong sense of community, reminding everyone of the positive side of local life.
So, during the public comment on that street renaming, a resident representing the local American Legion post came forward. He just wanted to express their sincere gratitude to the board, saying that the Legion's membership really appreciated the gesture to honor Morrell Smith.
And another resident, Charles Fewer, he got up just to publicly thank the police, fire, and public works departments. He was raving about their Touch-A-Truck event, calling it a hugely attended success that brought a lot of joy to tons of local families.
So when you put all these pieces together, right? A stalled advisory council, multi-million-dollar decisions made in a flash, serious crime fighting, and these really heartfelt community celebrations, it paints a complex and, honestly, a pretty compelling picture of what it takes to run a town. It kind of makes you wonder, what story is your own local government telling?